that whole 69 degrees. It's no joke when you're having a hot flash. Needed. Coco, was she so psyched? I'm excited. Although the hot flash tried to gear me off into the wrong direction, but set that temperature to 69 degrees, and guess what? Who's on top? Let's talk about these hot flashes. I want to continue talking about the patch. I want to talk about some other regimens that I've been trying and some alternative options. So we're going to get into it. Hopefully you guys enjoy. I need you guys to subscribe, like my videos, please. Let's start off by talking about this hair that's been here for a couple of days. I've been ignoring it, but it doesn't like to be ignored. So talking about perimenopause, that's one thing that kind of comes back aggressive. Luckily, with laser, I only have this one, and I'm going to tell you why it keeps coming back. I don't know. You might already know, but it's very interesting. So, trying to get you guys up to speed before you even have to deal with it. So I put my new patch on for the week. I did that yesterday. Yesterday was Monday, and I immediately got really cold. And so I was walking around with a jacket on all day. And anybody that knows me knows that I always stay hot the last couple of years. So those it's related to my perimenopause, and I am here to talk about it. I want to make sure that we have all the access that we need, and that we are sharing stories with one another. I want to make sure that the communities that may not have access to the health care that some of us have access to, I'm hoping that we continue sharing stories and we reach a mass of individuals that the information that we're sharing is impactful to. So let's start with the symptoms of menopause or symptoms of perimenopause. Let's go back to the basics. Now, all symptoms will not apply to everybody. So let's say that again. All symptoms will not apply to everybody. Now, for me, I had a plethora of symptoms. I still have symptoms. The patch that I use does not get rid of the issues that I have, it just lessens some of the symptoms. So for me, what came first? The chicken or the egg? Hot flashes or dry skin and hair? I really can't remember if it was me shampooing my hair one day and freaking out afterwards. I knew I had not changed any of my hair products, so the texture of my hair should have been the same. I think it was mainly that and then the hot flashes. So I went in, shampooed my hair, used my professional products as I normally do, and started to detangle, and my hair was just a matted mess. When I say matted mess, I wasn't used to that. So I ran up, I remember checking the products to make sure that I didn't pick the wrong product by mistake, but it wasn't that. It was that my hormones were um, imbalanced. And so, I mean, who's going to jump right to that? I just thought something internally was happening. I mean, it was, but I didn't think it was perimenopause. So I notated it, or I made a big scene with my family asking them, and they already think that I'm over dramatic, which I'm not. I'm just real and I tell the truth. And so sometimes I share things, and people look at me and they don't understand it, but until they go through it. So that was my first indication that I was clearly going through a change of some sort. Now people call it the change. I call it a pivot or the shift, because there was a major shift going on and I was not ready for it. So after I noticed that my hair was doing something different, I also noticed that my skin was very dry. Now, that was like right after the shower. Um, I know I want to get into one day talking about these black girl showers that people are mimicking online. I don't know how I feel about that. But anyway, I had a regular shower where you use regular soap and maybe a moisturizer. And I noticed on the shins of my legs. I felt like, that area looks a little drier than normal. Um, I notated that because just strange things was happening to me and nobody could give me answers. So I was like, let me notate this stuff just in case something happens. I don't know if y'all do that, but you have these funny feelings, whether it's related to your health or um, just life, and then you just kind of notate it just in case something happens to you. So while there are several symptoms, I can't go through everything in this one video, but I'm going to go through a couple of symptoms. And so after the dry skin and the hair incident, I started having these really bad night sweats. Um, and the night sweats weren't just, you get up, you get a glass of water. It was night sweats where I was sweating so bad, I was sweating through my linen. Yeah, my sheets. I know that's disgusting, but I can go into more detail, but I won't right now. But just the night sweats were horrid. Um, Waking my partner up and just in a profuse amount of sweat on my face and my chest area, my underarms. Yeah, my pits were sweating too. Um, and changing deodorant, right? He was using the best deodorant, all the clinicals, what clinical prescription grade deodorants. I even went to my dermatologist and they gave me Drysol. Yes, Drysol is used to stop underarm sweat. I still use it occasionally, but it dries your skin out really bad, but it does help with the sweating under the arms. It's called Drysol, Drysol. So, yeah, went through the night sweats and the hot flashes, and they were an eye opener. And so from there, I started talking to my doctors. Now, although I felt like they were dismissive, and I'll go into which doctors I sought help because there wasn't just one doctor. I talked to a couple of different doctors and a nurse practitioner, and they all just dismissed it. Oh, it's nothing. Um, I had a hysterectomy back, I think, in 2008, and so it wasn't something that I immediately jumped to because I didn't have a period. So I couldn't go in and say, well, I missed my period. Something's going on with my body. Well, I didn't have a period. So what could I base that off of? And I didn't think I was old enough to be going through perimenopause, but I was wrong. I also would come downstairs like right after I taken a shower, and I would have someone tell me, "Oh my God, your nose is sweating. Oh, your skin looks so oily." I'm like, "No, that's sweat." Or it's your glands sweating profusely, and oil secretion from your T zone is another factor. That's why I had to get my dermatologist involved. Then, shortly after the night sweats, was acne. The horrible acne that all women hate. And it was across the jawline. The jawline. Can you believe it? So by now, I have a dermatologist on tap. I have my GYN on tap. I have a primary care physician, and I also have a nurse practitioner. You would think throughout the four physicians that they would give me some help, they would steer me in the right direction, they would prescribe something, and it would be all over. Well, that didn't happen. What do we do when we can't get answers? We go to Google. So, after several visits with many physicians, I decided to take things in my own hands because who better advocates for you than yourself? So I started researching, and I love some researching. I did it on my own time. I looked online. I started calling people and asking them were they having the same type of side effects or symptoms that I was having because you have friends typically in your same age group. And so I was finding out that people were going through the same thing, but they just weren't telling anyone. So I was tired. I was tired of the hot flashes. I was tired of the acne along my jawline. I was tired of talking about it. Um, I didn't want to talk about it anymore. So I Googled. Yeah, I Googled. Sometimes Google can come in handy. I did some other research with physicians and I spoke to them about it in detail, and they saw that I wasn't going away. And so I made my GYN run tests on me she didn't want to do. Um, and then the results came back. Yep, I was in perimenopause, and it was right there in black and white. And I could not deny it. So many things ran through my head, like so many things. It was a little bit different than when I had the hysterectomy. I had emotional trauma from that. But when I figured out I was actually in perimenopause, first of all, I was like, what is the peri? Where did peri come from? So, yes, peri is like preliminary menopause. Really? So there is a preliminary process to this thing? Well, yeah, it is. And I was deep into it. And so I went through a few different types of prescriptions. And again, I will probably go deep dive into that because that was just a journey until my GYN finally spoke about the patch, the estradiol patch in low dose therapy. And again, the patch did not just wipe away all my troubles. It just allowed me to think a little bit clearer. It allowed me to cease some of the hot flashes because I still flash throughout the day. It's just not as intense. And everybody knows that has gone through a hot flash that those things are treacherous and they change your life. There's no joke. People joke about it, they laugh about it, but it's really a serious matter. And I didn't think there was anything to laugh about. So when I was first given the patch, I actually was scared to take it. It took me probably a couple of months to even decide if it was something that I wanted to embark on. And I was scared for all the right reasons. I was scared of cancer risk. I was scared of an allergic reaction, all of those things that you get timid about when somebody introduces a new prescription. So what I do, I went right to the internet and did my research. So I encourage you guys whenever somebody is giving you a new prescription, somebody meaning your physician prescribes you something. Take time to do the research before you start taking any medication. What finally gave me some level of comfort was my GYN sat me down and we talked extensively about estradiol. We talked about estrogen and the administering of estrogen and new studies versus old studies. And so I was willing because we talked about how the liver and kidneys are affected by estrogen alone, but the patch does not seem to pass the liver when it metabolizes during the first pass. Now, it does go through the liver, but it is not through the first pass. And what I mean by that is by avoiding the first pass metabolism through the liver, the estrogen maintains like a more of a natural level of estrogen in your bloodstream. Um, Otherwise, oral estrogen or vaginally inserted estrogen does not allow for that. It's important because the oral administration of estrogen sometimes gives some women liver side effects, whereas the skin transdermal administration, the patch, doesn't do that. So now I'm not here to convince you to take the patch. I am just here to let you know that there are alternative options. There are ways that we can treat menopause. I really think menopause is a disease. And I know y'all might giggle at that because I laugh sometimes to myself, but I'm serious. I really think that it is a disorder and that people, doctors, should treat it with care. And I even looked up to see if there was a billing code. And you know what? There are ICD codes. Those are billing codes for disorders. So if there's a billing code to make money off of seeing patients for the disorder, why is it that we walk into the physician's office, tell them what's going on, and sometimes they dismiss it. But then on the back end, they're billing for it. That's interesting. And you know, I'm going to do my research on that too. So, you guys just hang in there. I'm going to go through some of the other symptoms that I experienced through my perimenopause journey, the shift, and I'm going to share with you, and hopefully, it just eases you a little bit. You find a little bit of comfort in knowing that you are not alone. When I'm talking to you, I don't know what to say. But I can call up a stranger and talk my whole life away.